Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Liam questions Bill and accuses a mysterious Jack of being the father of Luna. Lee wants Penelope to admit it in the hospital. While she was staying with them, she felt a sense of guilt that something was wrong with her. Before the whole Sheila situation arose, she didn't want to think that Jack would cheat on her. Penelope, you weren't very noteworthy. She accuses her sister of knowing all along that her husband was Luna's father, saying, you were just one of many. You wanted to keep it a secret for that reason. Since Jack is Luna's father. Luna tells Bill that she would do anything to remain at his house and avoid going back to jail. He advises her to obey the rules and slow down. Liam's voice shouts out from outside, inquiring as to whether Bill is home. After instructing Luna to scram, Bill answers the door. Bill responds that he sometimes locks the door when Liam wonders why it was locked. It's never locked, he says. He never does, Liam assures him, which is why he is secure. Is something happening? Bill Luna B&B. Steffi is shocked that Finn agreed to a covert afternoon tryst at the Cliff House. They canoodle and taunt one another. She is aware that he has been urging her to put the coup out of her mind, but she has some news for him. Finn assumes that her return to Forrester Creations is related to her scheme and her buddy Daphne. Steffi affirms that she is ready to implement her strategy and reclaim the business from Hope and Carter. Finn decides that the less he knows, the better. He will prevail against evil, Steffi promises him. She says he's proud of her for exercising discipline with Hope earlier. One positive outcome of all of this, he observes, is that her parents have reconciled. This was the best thing that could have happened, but Steffi would never have imagined it. At last, a woman who was prepared to support her father opened his eyes. Finn hugs his wife and explains that Ridge has now come to the realization that Taylor is the one for him. And it wasn't Brooke. Their familiarity with devotion is too great. They share a kiss. B&B with Finn Steffi. Lee keeps pressuring Poppy to come clean while she is in the hospital. Luna's father is my ex-husband. Lee recollects that they welcomed her into their house, but she turned her sights on her husband. Poppy objects. Lee talks on how close she and Jack were and remembers that she refused to reveal the father's identity when she first announced her pregnancy. She should just come clean. Jack enters at that moment and informs Lee that he has received her message. Jack welcomes Poppy, and Lee urges him to shut up and mentions their dirty little secret. Lee snarks, just in time. Dirty little secret? Jack asks at Lee's office. Li claims that she has felt this way for a very long time, during their whole marriage. She was aware that something was happening in their house right in front of her. Jack has no idea what she's discussing. Oh, sure you don't, Lee yells. She doesn't either. Jack still has no idea what she's discussing. He lost their marriage as a result of cheating on her with Sheila. Lee sobs since it is how she got her son. Any day now, she would choose that betrayal to this. What could be worse than that is beyond Jack's comprehension. You have, Jack, Lee adds. Alongside her. My own sister. Liam believes there is a problem with his father at Bill's house. Bill pretends to be stupid. Liam notes that instead of yelling at him, he is asking him questions. Liam wants to know what's causing him to isolate himself. Bill tries to convince Liam that working from home is a good thing because it shows that he trusts him, but Luna overhears him. Liam is aware of how much he enjoys being in his kingdom, his office. So, may I ask whether everything is all right? Liam continues by saying that he worries about Bill since he is gradually becoming a recluse. That's an exaggeration, says Bill. According to Liam, it isn't. Liam erupts at the extra strangeness when Bill complains that he needs me time, saying, who talks like that? Bill assures his son that he is in control of everything. You have what under control? Liam asks. He inquires as to whether Bill is now coping with any particular circumstance. Bill denies it and maintains that he is misinterpreting the situation. It's just that I'm realizing that life is about more than work. Liam moans. This is Luna. Bill, Liam, B&B. Steffi and Finn are still discussing her parents at the Cliff home, as well as why she grew up falling for a man who had a divided heart like her father. Finn assures her that he loves her and the children. Steffi values this about him in addition to his support of her mother. Steffi believes Taylor will move in with her father, and Finn makes fun of her staying with them. What about Finn's parents, she wonders. Would they ever get back together? Finn believes the ship has set sail. Steffi claims that he doesn't discuss them or his upbringing. Although he understands both sides, Finn finds it terrible that they were divorced. Finn claims his father wronged his mother, and he can't think of anything more hurtful than the falsehood he lied about his birth. B&B with Finn, Steffi. Jack tells his ex-wife at Lee's office that he was optimistic when he received her text. He believed that they had finally made some headway, but Lee is still being paranoid. He believes that he was drawn into an argument between the two of them. He is informed by Poppy that they did not share a bed. Because Lee was always so harsh with Poppy, Jack feels sorry for her. Lee gives him a hiss to stop. She finds it unbearable to hear him speak up for her sister. She informs him that Tom was not Luna's father after conducting a paternity test on her. Simply utter the words. You were involved in an affair. They conceived another love kid for Jack and betrayed her in the most horrible way imaginable. Luna. Your daughter is Luna. Lee makes shocking accusations against Jack and Poppy, while Liam questions Bill about Luna in confusion. Liam visits Bill today on Bold and the Beautiful. Steffi shares her strategy for victory with Finn, and Lee insists that Poppy disclose the truth. Ridge hung up on Brooke after she informed him that they were still together, and Lee confronted Poppy about Jack being Luna's father. Lee forces her sister, who was asleep on their couch, to confess to having an affair with Jack in her office. Lee and Poppy quarrel over Jack B&B. Poppy won't acknowledge it. Penelope is informed by her sister that she was only one of several people involved in Jack's affair with Sheila. According to Lee, it was Jack B&B. Jack is Luna's father, she is adamant. She has had this suspicion for years. Poppy is shocked that this explains why she has always been cruel. B&B was confronted by Pop. Lee merely wanted her sister to pursue her dreams, but she has wasted every chance and turned her attention to her husband. B&B with a Poppy crossing arms. As soon as she revealed she was pregnant, she started to suspect her. When Jack arrives, Lee declares she is aware of his sinister little secret. Poppy gives a headshake. Jack, Poppy, B&B. I have no idea what she's talking about, he says. She says she's been paying attention to her mind, and it's been telling her unbelievable things. They discuss her son's psychotic mother and his affair with Sheila. But this is not as important to her as that betrayal. Poppy leaves Jack in the B&B office. Jack is aware of her pain, but he is unsure of how he might betray her more severely than he did with Sheila. With my own sister, you have, Lee sobs. Jack appears perplexed. Jack mistook B&B for. He had hoped for improvement, but she is still the same paranoidly. He is sad Poppy has to deal with this. Lee is adamant that they acknowledge it. Tom was not Luna's father, according to the results of her paternity test. Lee laments B&B's betrayal. You had a liaison, she yells, accusing them of betraying her and having Luna as a second child. Jack smiles. Poppy gives an eye roll. B&B is not impressed by Poppy. Luna warns Bill that she will stop at nothing to keep him alive while he is under house arrest. He assures her that she will never be imprisoned again if she simply follows the instructions. Luna promises to do anything for B&B. He hears his son pounding on the door. Bewildered to see a closed door on his guarded complex, Bill follows her upstairs before unlocking the door for Liam. When Liam arrives at Bill's B&B, he questions whether everything is all right. Bill pretends to be stupid, but his son thinks his tone is strange. Not that he's shouting at him. He's only working from him, his father explains. Liam is aware of how much he enjoys being involved in workplace activities. So, is there a problem? Liam is concerned about his isolation. He needs some me time, according to his father. Who talks like that? Liam asks in a panic. Liam mistook B&B for. Bill tells his kid he has everything under control while Luna listens in. Liam becomes even more concerned. Luna listening in on B&B. Although he tells him he's misinterpreting things, his father appreciates the wellness check. He still needs to explain his son. Bill claims to have come to the realization that life is about more than just job. Liam believes that this relates to what transpired with Luna. Talking about Luna B&B, Bill Liam. Finn tells his wife at the Cliff House that he enjoys their afternoon trysts because they keep things interesting. It keeps her from thinking about the coup, at least. Finn Steffi's first B&B stay. She adds that she has returned to work and is moving on with her plan to retake Forrester. The less he knows, the better, he says. She assures him that evil will be defeated by good. Back at work at B&B, Steffi. Finn notes that her parents have reconciled. Although she would never have wanted the takeover, she must acknowledge that it finally made her father realize that Brooke is not the kind of woman who would support him. He now understands the true feeling of dedication. Finn is also familiar with the sensation. The triumph of good B&B, Steffi comments. Steffi is glad her parents are reunited at last. They share a kiss. She expresses gratitude to him for his constant assistance. Her father ping-ponged between women, so she's not used to that. She ended up with Liam for that reason. She is his world, according to Finn. She values that about him and how supportive he is of her mother. Steffi Finn is content at B&B. He acknowledges that it could be a bit tough to live with her all the time. She has little doubt that her parents will soon move in together. She asks him whether he thinks his parents could get back together. The ship has sailed, according to the doctor. Although their divorce was tragic, he understands and can see all sides of the issue. The reunion of Finn Steffi's parents at B&B. He loves his father, yet he wronged his mother. He believes that the lie he told her about his birth was the only way he could have wounded her. We are aware of the baby's father. Anticipation permeated the boardroom of Forrester Creations, as though the walls themselves could sense the seriousness of what was about to happen. No one would ever forget that day, a moment that would reverberate through relationships and families like a stone thrown into a calm pond. After casting doubt, suspicion, and intrigue over all those concerned, the matter of the baby's paternity was finally going to be resolved. The rumor mill had been grinding away for weeks. The rumors had only been stoked by rumors of covert meetings, whispered phone conversations, and late-night DNA testing. Was the baby's father Jack Finnegan, whose family was already scarred by his troubled past with his son Finn and wife Lee? Or was it Finn, the devoted physician and devoted spouse, whose entire world would be upended by this discovery? The third, unstated potential was that an outsider may challenge the Forresters' preconceived notions about trust and devotion. There were almost all of the big players present, and the room was crowded. With her keen eyes darting between the important figures, Brooke Logan sat at the head of the table. Everyone was on edge just by her presence. Ridge Forrester stood next to her, his arms folded in a defensive, skeptical stance. Steffi sat across the table, her clenched fists revealing the tempest simmering beneath her enigmatic serene face. And then there was Lee, tall and holding an envelope, a single sheet of paper containing the long-awaited solution. Despite the obvious tension in the room, Lee started out by saying, "Thank you all for being here. We've all been through a really trying time, and I think we can all agree that in order for us to move on, the truth must be revealed." All eyes went to Lee as the humming murmurs that had been filling the room ceased. She took a quick look at Jack, who had a mixture of defiance and fear on his face. Her eyes then lingered on Finn, who appeared to lose his cool for the first time since coming into the room. Lee held up the envelope and added, "I had this test conducted independently. There are no hospital-affiliated labs, and nobody in this room is interfering. This is the conclusive response. Never one to remain silent during dramatic situations, Brooke leaned forward. So, Lee, let's not drag this out any further. No matter how unpleasant it may be, the truth is the truth. Lee nodded before gently removing the sheet of paper from the envelope. She reviewed the results, her expression unreadable, and the stillness was deafening. She looked up at last, her voice steady but laden with the gravity of the situation. The findings are definitive. Jack Finnegan is the baby's father. The room exploded. Everyone tried to comprehend the information, and the air was filled with gasps, whispers, and even a few curse words. Jack's eyes widened in surprise as his face became white. That isn't feasible, he stumbled. There must be an error. There's no mistake, Jack, Lee yelled, her calm crumbling beneath her rage. The test is conclusive. You have been deceiving us all the entire time, even though you are the father. Finn's chair scraped the floor as he jerked to his feet. Dad, is this accurate? His voice trembled with a mixture of betrayal and anger as he demanded. Were you hiding this from us? Jack's quiet said more than words could. Unable to look into his son's sharp eyes, he turned his head away. Ever the practical one, Steffi took the opportunity to talk. With a harsh tone, she stated, this changes everything. We must discuss the implications for the baby, the family, and the business. Brooke, however, would not have it. Her voice pierced the confusion like a knife as she cried, oh, no, Steffi. Here, you don't get to control the story. Your family has a long history of betraying trust, which is what this is all about. Perhaps it's time for you to examine yourselves closely. Steffi's composed exterior broke when the jab struck its target. Brooke, don't act like your family is any better, she retorted. Everybody has made errors. The question is, what are our next steps? Finn went back to Jack as the two women quarreled, his voice growing irritated. Why, father? How come you didn't tell me? You have had numerous chances to come clean, but you choose to keep us all in the dark instead. Jack's voice was weak and tinged with remorse, but at last he found it. He said, I didn't know how to tell you. Even though I already hurt you and Lee, I didn't want to ruin our family. Destroy our household, Lee reiterated, her tone brimming with irony. Jack, you've already done that. The last nail in the coffin is this. Out of the commotion came a startling voice. It was Ridge, who up until now had been unusually quiet. With a loud voice that demanded attention, he exclaimed, enough. This isn't about placing blame or pointing fingers. The goal here is to determine what is best for that youngster. Therefore, let's cease yelling and begin working toward solutions. The audience briefly became quiet after he spoke, yet the tension persisted. Surprisingly, Brooke aligned herself alongside Ridge and nodded. She said, he's right. This surpasses all of us. We must concentrate on the future. But it was unclear what would happen next. The Forrester and Finnegan families were rocked by the news that Jack was the father, and they all had to reassess their values and relationships. Finn had to deal with the realization that his father wasn't who he believed him to be. Lee had to decide if she would ever be able to forgive Jack for his treachery. Additionally, with Brooke observing her every action, Steffi had to reconsider her own place in the family dynamics. One by one, each absorbed in their own thoughts, the attendees filed out as the meeting came to a conclusion. Jack waited for an opportunity to talk to Finn, but his son passed him silently. Ridge and Brooke exchanged glances as the day's revelations temporarily overshadowed their complex past. Lee, determined to set a new course for herself and her family, walked out with her head held high and the envelope in her hand. The small office where Lee Finnegan sat, her mind racing as she stared at the envelope on her desk, was bathed in an antiseptic glow from the gentle hum of the hospital lights. The answer to the question that had been bothering her ever since Luna arrived and the rumors about her paternity started was supposed to be straightforward, a decisive one. However, a persistent uncertainty gnawed at Lee's determination as she was ready to reveal the DNA results. What if Jack wasn't Luna's father, according to the results? How would that affect their family, which is already broken? Luna's presence had been a destabilizing factor for weeks. She had suddenly appeared out of nowhere in their lives, enchanting some while arousing mistrust in others. Lee was suspicious of anything or anyone that appeared to be associated with Jack because of his past dishonesty, including his affair with Sheila Carter. As Lee was ready to face the truth, she couldn't get rid of the feeling that the outcome she was in charge of could alter everything. Luna's entrance had been too opportune and serendipitous. Lee opened the envelope with shaking fingers and took out the carefully folded piece of paper. Her breath caught as she read the document and realized that Jack Finnegan was not Luna's biological father. She was shocked by the knowledge, feeling a mixture of relief and fear clash in her chest. That Jack hadn't lied, at least not about this, was a relief. But fear, since it left more questions than it resolved. Who else could have been Luna's father except than Jack? And why had Luna entered their life with such a claim? Lee's thoughts whirled as she weighed her options. Was Luna being completely dishonest and trying to fit in with their family for whatever reason by pretending to be related to Jack? Or had someone with a bigger goal used her as a pawn in this game, just like the others? Lee felt she wanted answers since the ramifications were so profound. Luna, meanwhile, was blissfully oblivious to the maelstrom that was building all around her. She had continued her attempts to gain favor with the influential family by spending the morning at Forrester Creations. Some of the Forresters, like Steffi, were suspicious, but others had fallen in love with her because of her charm and sharp wit. Since Luna's arrival, Steffi's protective instincts had been on high alert, and now they felt validated. Lee's resolve solidified as she drove to Forrester Creations. She didn't like mysteries, especially when they put her family in danger. When she got there, she strode directly into Luna's design studio. The younger woman's smile wavered as she met Lee's intense stare, and she looked up in surprise. Sensing the tension, Luna carefully greeted Finnegan. "You weren't what I expected." With a harsh tone, Lee answered, "I'm sure you weren't. However, we must speak. Right now." After hesitating, Luna nodded and ushered Lee into a private office. Lee didn't waste any time after the door closed. Unwavering in her voice, she displayed the DNA results. She stated, "I had a paternity test done. And it supports my suspicion that Jack is not your father." Luna's eyes widened, and she briefly displayed panic before covering it up. I don't get it," she stumbled. "Some mistake must exist." "There is no error," Lee stated resolutely. "The test is definitive. It's your chance to explain now. You said Jack was your father, but why? What exactly are you doing here?" Luna remained silent for a time, her thoughts obviously racing. She appeared to change her attitude from defensive to belligerent after taking a big breath. She remarked, "You don't understand what it's like to grow up wondering where you came from. I didn't come here to stir things up, but to find answers." "Responses?" Lee reiterated, her doubts clear. "So why not tell the truth right away? Why tell falsehoods about Jack?" Luna's voice rose as she emphasized, "I didn't lie. I genuinely thought Jack might be my dad. Perhaps he still is. Perhaps someone interfered with the test." Lee was becoming impatient. "There was no tampering with the test," she stated. "And you won't mind taking another test, this time to rule out any other connections, if you're so sure about your story." With Lee's threat looming large, Luna paused once more. She nodded at last, although it was obvious that she was reluctant. "All right," she said. "I'll do it if it will show that I'm telling the truth."